Well, so we're here to discuss all the major topical issues we can find this morning. Many of them have been emanating from what has been happening from the last week, mainstream into this week. They just won't be going. All the issues about the Bank of Ghana and its dealing with especially the Capital Bank, the UT Bank, and now we have 5 others also all going under. But it's the reports and its emerging issues or content that have generated a lot of public debate. And we'll have to continue the discussions. In the meantime, though, the president has been undertaking a 5-day tour of the Ashanti region, had great interaction during the Akweside with the Otumfuo. And we also know that he made great promises that, well, even for all the things that we're talking about, free SHS and all, school will even now be free from kindergarten very soon to senior high school. My son is 11, so 4 years time, free SHS, not bad. I pray that double track will be over by that time. But if it's still not over, it will be better by that period. So,
what's wrong with double track?
Yeah,
okay.
I haven't introduced you yet. No, because you start.
So let me just introduce my guests for the morning.
You start by this means that you already have a position on it.
Okay. All right. So I have in the studio Nenyi Jojanda. Nenyi Jojanda is a member of parliament for the Ewutu Senya West constituency, but he's also a deputy communications minister. Nenyi, I don't have any position.
Good morning.
And,
if my utterances seem to have ruffled feathers.
Good morning.
I only said what I said in respect to my son as a parent.
Good morning.
As a journalist, I don't have any position.
Good morning to you. Good morning to my co-panelists, and good morning to your viewers. We're looking forward to a great show today.
Yeah, we'll have. You've already started firing the salvos. When the two of you are on, I know that I'm going to have a great time. Alasan Sohini is a member of parliament.
Is it
for
the salvos or the blows?
Blows. I think the blows will be targeted at Al Hassan, not me.
Greetings to Big Vai.
Big Vai. Okay, wherever you find yourself, Big Vai, please have a good morning as well.
Good morning, Roland.
You were a member of the HAJJ board in the NDC regime.
Yes.
And so far we've had. So far, apart from perhaps maybe some complaints about some bit of delays from over the weekend, the Pilgrims have been jettisoned to Mecca peacefully. No more concerns being raised. But you want to say whether it's in any of the papers?
No, I just want to draw your attention to some of the stories I have seen. I don't know if you have seen this one, and if you have seen this one.
Okay, the front page of the Today newspaper, the chaos at HAJJ village over flight delays. You have a chairman of the HAJJ board, Sheikh I.C. Kwe. There, you have another one, the Ghanaian Observer.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, dissolved HAJJ board according to Pilgrims. Yeah, so far so good, apart from these little delays.
Well, let me say good morning to Honorable George Vanda, and good morning to our viewers. Thank you for having me here. I don't know if you want me to comment on the HAJJ issues. I just want to urge you that you should not be shy. You should not be discouraged. In fact, the president himself urged us all to be to be citizens and not spectators. And as for double track, even the minister himself, in speaking about it, said it was considered because of dire circumstances.
We'll come and talk about CSS.
And who wants to be in dire circumstances forever? So if you are praying that double track system gets better or it's stopped, it's simply because we have been told it's a stopgap measure, haven't we? So why do we want a stopgap measure to be perpetually, implemented? So your thoughts are correct. By the time your child gets to 11, the stopgap measure would have been over. Is that not it? So you shouldn't shy. Yeah, you shouldn't shy away from it. I mean, we are all parents. We're talking about education of our wards. We're talking about the future generation of this country. And if you have any concerns about, I mean, why do you elect a government into office and you cannot disagree with that government? I mean, you are afraid or shy to disagree with that government. I don't think that is right, even if you are a journalist. I mean, you are supposed to inform, you are supposed to educate, and you are supposed to entertain. And the education part is what is often missing in our journalism. You have to educate. So if the citizens are not educated about a position of government and how it can affect them one day, and you know that you are well educated to carry out that education, it's part of your job to educate them. That, look, this is it. So you to educate. And so I don't think you should shy at all. But as for HAJJ, I wish the committee well. I've been there. maybe it's important to say that it was not an allowance paying board, you know, like some people will think. It was purely sacrificial and voluntary. I don't know what pertains there now. I remember when we're handing over to these new members, at one of our meetings, they asked what our salary structure was. And it was interesting to see their faces when we told them there was no salary here. But I don't know what they have put in place. But at our time, it was purely voluntary. Nothing, we didn't have a salary structure. We didn't have any allowance system there. It was just the joy of helping, you know, the pilgrims and fellow Muslims to embark on the Hajj. So far, there have been some few issues, but I know that, you know, an organization such as that cannot be 100%, you know, foolproof. There may be challenges here and there. It's the ability of those who are there to rise over those challenges. But I'm hearing concerns about a few people hijacking the whole process, and that is what is making the challenges they are facing even worse. You know, but I mean, sometimes I will want to assess the whole process after the exercise. That is when you can have a good picture. But so far, the reports we are having from Tamale haven't been pleasant. I mean, even the the regional chairman of the MPP, I'm told, was on radio calling for the dissolution of the board. Many other, you know, leading members of the NPP are unhappy with the embarrassment they say, you know, the managers of the process have caused them so far. But I want to reserve my comments until after the whole exercise, and that's when we can have a comprehensive assessment of what went on.
Okay, a former member of the HAJJ board, you wanted to make a comment?
Yes, I think you've given him 2 takes and I need to respond.
Right.
On the issue about the double track.
We'll come to the point of...
Hold on. My question to you, when you said that you hope that by that time double track will be better, was what is wrong with double track as at now?
It's a stopgap.
Okay,
measure.
so to his point that you have a role to play as far as education is concerned, I believe that if you have a specific issue as to what in your opinion is wrong with double track, it's only fair that you talk about that specific issue so that we can all understand it. So we either correct you or we also get educated. But for you to put out that comment that you hope that by that time double track will be better, I think for me is most unfortunate, because it's not substantiated, it's not rooted in any evidence. That is why I was concerned with that comment that you passed. And of course, we know that double track is a stopgap measure, and it's a stopgap measure because free SHS has been extremely successful, and we don't have enough infrastructure in place to be able to accommodate the number of people that have gainfully gained admission into SHS and would enjoy the free SHS opportunity. So that if you have a specific issue, okay, that is wrong with the implementation of this stopgap measure, okay, please open it up and let us discuss it. On the issue of HAJJ, I think for me, to a large extent, the feedback that has been coming has been quite positive. I think that the process is much more organized this time, of course, based on learnings from what happened with the previous HAJJ board executions, and we hope that the seamlessness would be improved going forward.
Okay. I think what I said was that as a parent, personally, I would want my child to go to a one-track system school. Maybe I shouldn't be putting my views out as a parent.
You're missing the point. Okay. You said you hope that double track will be better. And I'm asking you, what is wrong with double track as at now as a
parent? I would want that double track will be better by the time that my child goes to school.
So what is wrong with it now that you are saying as a stopgap measure? Again, let's put a discussion in context.
I would not want my child to be part of a stopgap measure.
That's the separate argument, okay? And like he said, it is a stopgap measure, okay? So the minister and the government have already said that the infrastructure deficit, okay, is going to be addressed over a period. So with that one, I don't have a problem with it. But if you say that you want double track, okay, to be better, then it means that with the stopgap measure that is being implemented, there are issues or there are concerns with it. That is my understanding.
Well,
okay, for which it is
right
for me to, it's okay for me to learn from you, and take feedback from you.
Roland, you see the stopgap.
No, that's okay. It's not right. And let's move on. Okay, so we're going to discuss the banking crisis that has confronted our country today. And let me start with you, Nenyi. Especially from all the things that you've heard up to this point, what will be your general observation so far?
I think it's most unfortunate. This is not the first time that we've had the Bank of Ghana, at least in the recent past. This is not the first time that we've had the Bank of Ghana having to come in and crack the whip. And the Bank of Ghana, as a regulator, has always had that authority to be able to regulate or sanitize the system. So first, let me commend the current administration, the governor of the Bank of Ghana and his team, that they are actually doing what is expected of them. However, I personally believe that it's taken a bit too long for the details of the investigations to come out to be able to inform a prosecution of otherwise. I mean, we are in a country where there are laws, and we know what the role of the chairmen of boards and the roles of directors are, as far as making sure that the institutions under which they provide supervisory direction work in accordance with the law. You have a situation where some of these banks are supposed to have taken some bailouts from the central bank. These are taxpayers' money, of course, with an interest. And there's nothing wrong with a bank, if you have some difficulties, going for this bailout, if you're going to use it to revamp your operation. Because I mean, if you have to let people go home and stuff like that, I mean, each one of us, sometimes we want some financial support. So there's nothing, in principle, there's nothing wrong with that. But if they have misapplied these facilities, and if there are certain individuals that are responsible for this misapplication, and from what we are hearing out there in the news, certain decisions were taken at board meetings, certain individuals were called to board meetings, and additional funds being released to them without going through due process. Somebody saying that this document that has my signature on is not my signature. I think that the investigation should be fast-tracked. So
you think the Bank of Ghana is leaving too much room for speculation?
I think so. I think so. I mean, from where I sit, because it's difficult to tell. I mean, you hear the Bank of Ghana comes out with one position. You read from the media certain reports that are being serialized, and you hear from certain individuals that are saying that this thing that you are telling me that I've done, I wasn't given an opportunity to respond to it. And the position that you're putting out there is not exactly what it is. So it's difficult to make an informed position from where some of us sit, okay, that this is what it is. I mean, depending on which side of the road you are, you can decide that you stand with Mr. A or you stand with Mr. B, okay? And people are taking certain stands based on what they feel. Is it a moral position? Is it a rational position? Is it a legal position? You understand? And I think that the Bank of Ghana has done quite a bit, but there's still a bit more room for, not a bit more, there's still room for clarity, okay? And I think that even for us as members of parliament, I mean, we need to be able to call for a proper parliamentary probe into these matters, like what happened in the US, because this thing should be it shouldn't be partisan. This is the taxpayers' money. If you look at the amount of money that we are borrowing for education, we are borrowing for infrastructure development, okay, and you look at what has to be put out there to restore confidence into the banking sector, it's disheartening, and I think that it's terrible, and we shouldn't allow this to happen.
Okay. Now, if you, for example, you take a look at the lead story of the Business and Financial Times today, it says that for capital expenditure for the current budget, What has been lost so far? 8 billion in excess, because ultimately that's what we'll need to use in revamping.
And this 8 billion that hasn't been planned for.
Not at all.
Okay, I mean, there's no projection for this 8 billion. So can you imagine the number of hospitals that could have been put in place? Can you imagine the expansion of the free SHS? And can you imagine how quickly double track would have been stopped if the infrastructure deficit would have been built? I mean, can you imagine the number of roads, the number of railways that would have been provided up to his constituency, expansion of telecoms infrastructure? Okay, I mean, try and make sure that whilst he was MP, he sees the development happening in his constituency. So for me, I think it's extremely painful that we find ourselves in this situation, and it shouldn't be business as usual. I mean, we need to take those tough decisions. Some certain decisions have been taken. I'm happy that we don't have a governor who is shy of taking those tough decisions. But I think that between the Security and Exchange Commission and the Bank of Ghana, and probably the special prosecutor and Parliament and IOCO, there needs to be some serious collaboration to fast track investigations for proper information to come out, and if indeed it should inform prosecutions, then the prosecutions must happen
appropriately. And we know the Bank of Ghana is not clothed with those powers. It doesn't have prosecutorial powers, but we have a state agency or a body. The Attorney General can't do that on his behalf. IOCO, we're told, is undertaking some investigations and all this. But if you look or have a cursory look of all the information that has been coming out, it speaks volumes about integrity, poor or relaxed corporate governance practices within those entities that so far have gone under. Should we be speaking to that, and so perhaps taxing the Bank of Ghana to do same and then acting upon it, like the way the Honorable Deputy Minister of Communications is espousing today?
Well, Roland, I have to apologize to you. I think that we are not angry enough as a people about.
We're in a democracy.
About what is happening.
We're told there is a dispensation in which the rule of law.
I understand that.
We can't round up people and shoot them, can we?
I understand that, but you know, our anger should not, you know, make us choose one option, which is the one you have suggested. There are several other ways by which we can demonstrate our anger as a people, as far as you know, the things that are happening in this country is concerned, not just with the banking sector. And that's why I said I have to apologize to you, because Roland, there's something that is about to happen that I find very sacrilegious. I find very, very reprehensible and unacceptable, and we must not allow it to happen. You know, there is an attempt to evict, you know, the justices of the appeals court and to demolish where they currently stay. The Judicial Training Institute is part of it, to be demolished.
How is this coming
the passport office is to be demolished, so that, you know, a national cathedral will be put up.
Oh, can we stay on this?
Yeah, I'm just saying that there are a number of things that are happening in this country that we are not angry enough about.
No, let's speak to the issue.
This is important, Roland, and maybe you should also look at it. Why is a matter like that not up for discussion?
I have to
apologize to you, but I'll come to that matter. But I'm telling you that, Roland, there are a lot of things happening in this country that we are not angry enough about. Look at where the appeals court justices are staying, and the closeness to the court, and the fact that we are going to rent private residence for them, and we don't even know the landlords that these judges will have to be living under.
If we're renting private residence, but can we just stay on the issues?
Roland, I'm surprised you are not a judge to live in a private residence. Do you know the landlord?
He could have been staying in his own building.
Do you know the landlord?
Can we stay on the issue?
The landlord could be a peddler. The landlord, but see, Roland,
I know you're experienced with this matter. You know what you're doing with this interjection. Can we just move on?
I'm encouraging you to look at this matter too, as well as we consider this banking sector. Look, you are talking about 8 billion of the taxpayers' money that is going to be used to, you know, solve the crisis that we are currently faced with. 8 billion Ghana cedis. And let us not joke with this. Because it is the same way the financial crisis started in the West. It was through the failures of banks and institutions like the Lehman Brothers and others that the financial crisis that eventually affected, African economies started. It's the same way. Look at the number of people who are currently being affected by the retrenchment of just 2 banks which were put under GCB, UT and Capital. We're talking about an excess of over 1,000 people who are currently jobless. These were people, assuming Roland, we just talk about 1,000 people. In Ghana, once you are unemployed, it is impossible for you to be the only one depending on your income. At least you will have 2 or 3 people. Once you are employed, 2 or 3 people will be dependent on that income. So multiply the 3 by the 1,000. That is a conservative figure of how many people currently are unable to earn a living as a result of the closure of the 2 banks. Now we have 5 more, and we're talking about banks that are even bigger in size and in numbers than the 2 that initially collapsed. So you can imagine the retrenchment and the number of people who will eventually lose their jobs.
That's why you concluded we're not angry enough.
We are not angry enough as a people. We are not.
But we have institutions.
And see, we are all here because we tend to, as a people, assume integrity for people based on their status, based on their age, or based on a certain qualification they have had from school. We just assume they have integrity because they are old.
And you're speaking.
We assume they have integrity because of the profession they are in. So he's an honorable man, so he has integrity. We assume integrity for people because they have a doctorate. We don't even challenge people to prove their integrity. So because someone is a man of God, he has integrity. I mean, so we just assume integrity for people, and that is why we are where we are. We are where we are because as a people, we just assume integrity for people based on their, status, their qualification, their age, and their profession. And I actually find I find the role of Bank of Ghana in all of this quite unacceptable. I think that, yes, as regulators, we expect them to do what the law mandates them to do. But they have also, in my view, been engaged in other things that I find quite unacceptable. I mean, if somebody breaks the law, or maybe, to be fair, they will tell us that they don't have the prosecutorial powers. Then it then becomes the blame of the government of the day. Because yes, if you are very convinced someone has committed a crime or somebody has done something wrong, what's your business just telling us? Just allowing it to be a media...
Because we know the Bank of Ghana put together a press conference and made mention of some of these things.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that, yes, so beyond that, what next?
Well,
you find radio stations serializing, excerpts of report, telling us about how much money may have gone where and there. And I'm asking myself, so we should do what? When we catch those people who are named in the report on the streets, we should stone them? No, I don't get it. So we should do what? You deliberately, as a government or as a state institution, leak such a report to the media to be serializing and telling us how much has been wasted. And yet we are not seeing those people being held before courts. We are not seeing arrests being done. So what do you want us to do? Stone them? What is your responsibility as a state institution or a government? What do you want us to do? By now, if you think that some wrongdoing has happened, we shouldn't just be reading the report. I mean, maybe when we finish reading the report, we should be hearing that they are appearing before Yoko. or the Yoko is preparing a report.
Well, we already know that
or they are
some
going
of those
to court,
individuals have appeared
or
before.
they have been granted bail, so that we know some action is being taken. And it's not just about a media thing. We talk, you know, tarnish people's reputations. And if eventually the reports that we are hearing are not even correct, there will be no way of, you know, repairing the damage that would have been caused these people. Because right now, as we speak,
that's why
some
the actions need to be taken in order to forestall the rampant or perhaps the wanton name calling and perhaps.
Well, I mean, there are two sides.
As we speak, let me finish, please. As we speak, some of the people involved have come out to even deny what is in the report, or to give reasons why the things that are in the report are in the report. So, but when you allow it to be used for whatever propaganda purpose, without really addressing the concrete issues, then you are not serving us as a people. And I don't find it exciting. I mean, before maybe Afenyo Markins and Ibrahim Mama and others came to respond, I was listening to the reports, and it was as if all of a sudden going for a loan is criminal. Taking a loan is criminal. Because people have gone for a loan. Nobody even tries to find out what the loan is used for. Nobody even tries to understand the terms of the loan and whether any of the terms were flouted. But just by a figure being attached, all manner of commentary is run negatively on the people involved. And I'm asking myself, why are we not? So if today I go and pick the books of a bank and I see Freddie Blair's name, and it says Freddie Blair took a loan to buy buses for people. I mean, so that's it. Freddie Blair is, I mean, look, because clearly today if you go, you will see a name like that with a loan. If it is true that the money was taken from a bank, you will see it like that. Then you have somebody who says that, look, I took the loan to do a cement factory. These are the terms. The cement factory was supposed to finish and start business. When business commences, then the loan will be serviced from the income of the plant. The plant is there. The plant is not done yet. So how do you fault such a person for, you know, whatever troubles the bank may be going through? The bank would have assessed themselves and felt ready and competent enough to advance that money to the person. So how is the person supposed to be a bad guy if you listen to the reports and the commentaries that are being run? That's what I'm saying, that the way we are carrying on is as if we don't really want to address the issues. We just want to make scapegoats. I think the two of you
are on the same tangent.
We just want to make scapegoats out of people.
Well, to some extent. First, I want to rebut on one point where he's saying that the government agency or the government is deliberately leaking out.
Oh, it's deliberate.
Please, can I?
Yes, go on.
Is deliberately leaking such reports to the media. And Roland, you would admit that there are a number of reports and there's some information that sometimes gets to the media that could also potentially embarrass government. And I'm not too sure that you are trying to suggest that the government would want to embarrass itself. So there are different ways that the media could have access to their information, and to sort of make a categorical statement that this is leakages from the government, I think is most unfair. For me, I do recognize that the Bank of Ghana hasn't got the prosecutorial, or it hasn't got the ability to prosecute. But what we are saying is that it's taking a bit too long to get the facts of the matter to inform the next step. I mean, he's frustrated, I'm frustrated. We are members of parliament, okay? We both could have a role to play in getting a parliamentary probe started along the lines. Okay, so we are also we could also be said to be part of the problem. But the bottom line is that this is 8 billion of taxpayers' money. Okay, this is 8 billion that could be used to expand roads, extend electricity, provide water. And when he talks about the anger, okay, I believe that that is where our anger should be coming from. I'm not, at the moment, I'm reluctant to talk about any specific person because I do not have enough facts of the matter. There's one side and there's a rebuttal. We're sitting in the middle. We do not know, unless we see like an Iyoko report or we start getting the prosecutions going, and like he's saying that there's a case that is made, there are charges that are preferred, and
as in a formalized process.
Because we are in a democracy. Yeah. The rule of law must be made to work. Okay, in the unlikely event that somebody who was doing the audit didn't ask the right questions or didn't talk to the right people, and the information that is being peddled out there is not entirely the case, there may be challenges. However, there is no dispute of the fact that there's a hole of 8 billion. Okay, I mean, you can come down to what it was used for or whatever it is. But as of now, okay, I believe that the directors and the chairpersons, okay, they have questions to answer. And we should be seeing that there's some stick that is being cracked, okay, to get these people. I mean, it shouldn't be business as usual. I mean, why are we are putting out there our bauxite resources, okay, for much less than this? Do you understand the seriousness of the problem?
I do.
Okay, and we should be together on this one.
Now, for government to make a decision, I know bailouts may not be maybe coming from other jurisdictions as well. We've had crisis across the world and also across economies over the period. And government will be foremostly responsible for the banking sector. Could government have taken a decision and say, we don't want to, as a country, absorb all this? And
how you cannot you cannot. He knows very much. You cannot do that. Right. I mean, because to collapse the economy. You understand? I mean, it's
because on their books are people's deposits invested.
Exactly. To collapse the economy.
Okay.
So I think it's a banking, one of the acts, I can't remember.
Yes,
compulsory depositors, something. It's supposed to ensure that government protects depositors' funds, and it is something that the law says government must do.
It's not negotiable.
The Depositors Act protects the deposit of customers and those who
so that is why government has to. Yeah, that's why government has to.
So I think, Roland, I think with this, the internal auditors, the external auditors, the investigative bodies, okay, must quickly come out with the facts of the matter. Okay, and the prosecution
by this time the Bank of Ghana should perhaps organizing a press conference to quell some of these and say these are the actions that we have been taking or have taken so far that we intend to take going forward too?
Well, a press conference will put out information, but for me, what I want to see is if Mr. A has been found to have done something wrong, okay, then the prosecutions have to start. I mean, I would love a situation where this thing goes to a parliamentary inquiry, okay, and you have people like Suhini, myself, other asking questions that our constituents are asking us, okay, and asking them those questions and getting the right answers. I mean, irrespective of whatever party that the person belongs to, you've made a decision that has affected Ghanaians, and you must be responsible. And you must bear the consequences for those decisions that have been taken.
You may have seen on social media. For example, members of the ICGC church saying they stand with their overseer, head pastor, Mensa Wotebel. These are some of the issues that seem to be the talking point about people's integrity being attacked, etc.
Yeah, so you see, that is why I'm saying that the way we are tackling it now is as if we are just trying to make scapegoats out of people. And that is what is giving rise to people to choose to stand with others and to sit with some. But, you know, I just want to disagree with my brother before I proceed, that these documents that are being, shared on media platforms are documents that are supposed to be in the custody of these state agencies or the government. And so if through whatever negligence or deliberate recklessness, those documents find their way into the hands of people who shouldn't have the documents, and that's why they consider it a leak, in this case the media, who else can I blame? Or who else can I hold responsible than the state institutions or the government? So he should accept it, that they have leaked these documents, or they have recklessly kept this document in a way that have allowed people who shouldn't have it to have it. And they are using these documents in ways that, for me, will not address the concrete issues that have brought us to where we are, but will only lead to scapegoating people. And that is why, Pastor Mensa Otabil and the ICGC members seem to be playing the role that they are playing. You have people, questioning his integrity and all that. But to be frank with you, Roland, I wrote this on social media and people think I was being mischievous. I stand with Pastor Mensa Otabil. I do. I stand with, all the others who have been named in the report. And I stand with the good people of Ghana. I stand with the truth. And I don't think the whole truth is out there yet. I don't think so. Yes, there's a hole, there's a gap, but really, how did we get to this point? I don't believe in, it is a part of our democracy, but I don't believe in people being pronounced guilty until they are proven to be guilty. I don't believe in us saying that people must be pronounced guilty until proven otherwise. I believe in giving everyone fair hearing. You see, so I don't mind even if Pastor Mensa Otabil in the past has contributed to this culture of trying people publicly and on media unfairly. I'm sure you recall his appearance on the Occupy Ghana platform and some of the things that may have been said about corruption and all that. So I'm saying I don't care if he has contributed to this culture of trying people in the media. I don't care if he has contributed to it. I still think that he doesn't deserve it. I think he doesn't deserve it. Just like all other people who have been named in this report, not until a competent court of jurisdiction or an investigation that has both sides, being reported. I am not so convinced about some of the things that are alleged to have taken place and the insinuations. That's why I say I stand with him, and I stand with the people of Ghana too. And I stand with the people of Ghana too because 8 billion will have to be paid by the people of Ghana. That is unacceptable. And I stand with him also because we have not really heard from him yet. We don't really know what his response is.
Honorable Member for West is saying that it's only a properly constituted.
That's what I'm saying. And it's same for all the other people. Right. I'm saying that let us get our institutions to do what they have to do. For example, the Attorney General Department, the Special Prosecutor, and others must be leading the way so that we can get out of the noise that seem to just be making scapegoats out of people to really dealing with
the noise has started this debate in the first place. Roland, I think we have to put that into perspective.
Roland, you can't stop the public debate on this matter.
I'm not saying.
And for me, no, I'm not suggesting that you said that you should stop. And for me, I think that is evidence of the fact that even if Ghanaians are not that angry about this matter, Ghanaians are very interested, and it is apt that the right information is provided as early as possible. And if indeed this should inform prosecutions, then so let it be. It's however interesting that my good friend takes this position on this matter. There have been other matters for which they have taken a totally different position, and not in even when those issues have been brought to the House, okay, and questions have been asked on the matter, okay, they still take a position that whatever it is that we feel is going to remain, irrespective of whatever new information or whatever facts have been revealed. I think that we should be fair in all our dealings. We shouldn't try and behave like ostriches. When it suits us, then we'll say that, okay, with this one I'll stand here. When it doesn't suit us, then this one I'll run here. Let us use the same yardstick, okay, to guide our principles on how we address these matters going forward.
Let me address that one quickly. Let me address that. No, let me address that one quickly. Oh. And I'll do it in a very simple way. You see, my brother here, I stand with him, and I stand with Aslausu, his boss, on the Kelny GVG matter. But I still think there are unanswered questions that must be answered. The fact that, you know, I have seen some issues that make me feel that some fraud may have taken place. Oh. Yes, does not mean that they don't have the right to be heard or listened to. No, that is where he was going. So I need
have I mentioned anything?
No, the point is that when I say that there is fraud involved in a matter,
when you say that you suspect that there's fraud, so when you were a member of parliament, what have you done about that? What have you done about that?
Including the two fraud.
Okay, you were in parliament when the minister came to.
New information is not complete information.
No.
You bring new information.
Me baba ya no ebi no se chinchina me di atrase Ghana for me dada Ghana for me to be ye samo kai e ka de dende kwai na dansa no ka free senior school no me nye mofra 90,000 and about school a few term September I go school secondary school da 90,000 I feel about to do 180,000 and some can say a kwabia so me mama ya hwesa bofra bia o wasa si so benya kwan etumi akọ school akọ akosua de eno ho adwuma na me bi ene e se ayaya ma 180,000 ebi no say enye me catch mo me fa bibia enye braga na for da me yesa nye enye sa chira e se ayaya wo ho no e ba be boa pa e ba be boa classes no so ba be che teacher fonso benya ebre any mofra no so tumi edikita ho ama kwanso ama numbers do so eco school no so no adoso we are going to make sure it is a success it be some whenever Pharisee for never be kaka mo dey catch us what dey free on the.
And the president also mentioned that, and that was also in English, so the implementation of the policy has shamed my detractors, and my government is to make it part of basic education in the country. And in all truism, meaning that, well, now when they say that you're going to school at the basic level, and that government is going to sponsor you, is going to be from kindergarten to when you finish senior high school. Almost like the president is hinging the success of whatever policy implementation he has in this first term or in the term to be on the free SHS. Is that the case?
Let me say a few things before I come to this. I mean, the president made this statement when he was addressing audience during his tour of the Ashanti region. Now, we should also bear in mind, or we should also note that on this particular tour and on subsequent tours that the president is going to take, there's been this position that has been taken about the size of the presidential, or the convoys that follow or the cars that follow the presidential convoy, because it was sending a very, very wrong message, where people that were not officially part of the presidential convoy keep on joining the convoy, apart from the fact that it is a big security issue. It also sends a wrong signal of opulence, lack of empathy, and just a waste of resources. So the position that was taken during this recent trip was for the ministers, deputy ministers, appointees who wanted to be part of the president's trip to the north to move in the buses. And I think that the president and Jubilee House must be commended on that. I mean, it's definitely going to save the taxpayer much more money, even the individuals themselves that would have been driving in their own cars. There's going to be significant savings there. And I think that is going to dilute this negative perception and the inconveniences that a long convoy of about 30 vehicles disrupting traffic and stuff like that. So that is said. Now, obviously, the president, in talking to Ghanaians on this trip, would not leave out the successes of free SHS. And I'm very happy that we can talk about the success of free SHS, or the over success of free SHS as of now. And I'm also very happy that the Minister of Education has been able to identify a stopgap measure to be able to accommodate the increased number of Ghanaian pupils that have qualified to enjoy this policy of the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And indeed, the president has indicated the intention of government to even further expand the access to good quality education in the statements that he has made. And I think this is good news that all Ghanaians must embrace. Beyond education, he also spoke about infrastructure. If you look at Kumasi, I believe that there's about the road network in Kumasi is about 2,000 kilometers, and out of this 2,000 kilometers, is only about 30% of that is paved, and 70% of that is unpaved. For the portion that is paved, there's also significant deterioration that is occurring on these roads. And so it is in order for His Excellency to talk about the ongoing projects to improve the road network and to provide much more convenience to commuters and the general public as far as infrastructure is concerned. So I'm very happy of the position that or with the position that His Excellency the President has taken, and I believe that all Ghanaians are seeing the positive things that this government is doing. I mean, just last week, I think on Thursday, the East Legon underpass was officially opened, and I'm sure that we all know the amount of stress that we were experiencing before when we were using that cattle path. And now there's a proper tunnel that has been opened. Very soon the second one will also be open. So yeah, things that are going on, and these are the things that instead of if we didn't have this challenge in the banking sector, you can imagine what 8 billion would have done. When on the average in a year, I think our capital investment, like you were saying, is about 1.5 billion. I mean, and so if we could have pumped in 8 billion into infrastructure. I mean, I'm sorry that I'm sounding like an old broken record, but this is what pains me, and I guess that is what also pains my brother that is here. But that said, the things the achievements that are happening, and these achievements are not achievements that only NPP supporters are going to enjoy. The achievements that all Ghanaians are enjoying, and when we talked about an agenda for change and creating prosperity and equal opportunities for all, these are some of the things that statement in our manifesto are driving.
Roland, let's look at the 2017 budget statement.
In relation to free SHS.
The ministry maintained its focus on routine and periodic maintenance activities to protect the huge investment made by government in the provision of the road infrastructure. In 2016, routine maintenance activities were undertaken on 10,723.49 kilometers. That's 90% of the approved work plan of the trunk road networks. 16,183 kilometers, that's 72% of the approved work plan on the feeder road network, and 9,384 kilometers, 94% of the approved work plan on the urban road network. And during the same period, periodic maintenance activities comprising regraveling and spot improvement as well as resealing works were carried out on 43 kilometers. Then it goes on and on to tell you the roads that were maintained and those that were constructed. This was read by Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister. I hope he hasn't misled the president to say the things he's saying about road networks in the country and to suggest that the previous government did nothing. This was 2017, reporting on what happened in 2016. Do you get it? Reporting on the activities that had been taken on the road sector in 2016. So I'm hoping he has not misled the president, because if he, I'm sure, informed or educated the president well, he will be a bit restrained in his comments about, you know, the lack of roads. You see, Roland, the ND he mentioned the infrastructure and roads. I'll come to free SHS, please, if you allow me. He started from free SHS and went to roads. I want to start from roads and come to free SHS. Thank you. So, you see, if you look at the situation we inherited as a party, if you had, for example, I'm just giving figures, 10 kilometers of road done every year. No, let me say 10 kilometers of road done in 10 years. I'm just giving figures. I'm not saying they're accurate. 10 kilometers of road is what this country does every 10 years. And then you have a government that comes into power. And in 4 years, that government does 9 kilometers of road. What will you call that? Unprecedented. If since, you know, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, all the governments that have come have been able to increase our road stock to about, say, 60 kilometers. I'm just giving figures. And then another government comes, and within 4 years, that government adds 10 to about 15 kilometers to it. That's unprecedented, but that's not 100%. That's not 100%. And that is why I think that the president needs some proper leading. Because we now know that people mislead him easily. He needs some proper leading. Because, for example, when you go to the last time he was in the Volta region and went on the Eastern Corridor Road. Now, this was a president who came to Parliament and in his State of the Nation address told us that he has stopped contractors on the Eastern Corridor Road because those roads were awarded on cocoa funds, and cocoa funds are dwindling. So he has stopped the contractors on that road. Only for him to visit that area about 8 months later to complain about the state of the road. If he was led properly and not misled, he would have known that the road was in that state because he stopped the contractors. He would have known, and he wouldn't have ridiculed himself like that. Then you come to if it's about roads across the country, the people are themselves, you know, witnesses to the infrastructure development in terms of roads in their communities. And they know what has been happening since this government came to power. In fact, in front of his house, Nima, in front of his house, he's seen improvement. Unless when he drives out, he's in another world.
Okay, let me quote from the president. The president, during that tour, said that his opposers, and I'm quoting here, his opposers, my opposers claim that they had constructed roads.
We did.
All over Ghana.
Yes.
I don't see the roads.
That's what I'm saying properly.
And we have pictures here that are indicating that he's plying roads that remain undone, roads that were touted within the period of the campaign to have been done.
No, Roland, you see,
and he was making specific references.
You see, well, that's why I'm saying that maybe he's misled. Yes, we said that we constructed roads all over the country, and didn't we? Roland, go to the northern region. The Fufuso Solar roads, it was done.
True.
Come to Accra, the Awoshi areas toward, and I mean, what do you call it? Even just near us here.
The intracity roads.
The intracity roads.
All right.
The Gifford Road and others. Where they're not done. Go to the Ashanti region, where roads not done. We did it all over the road. I mean, all over the country. But we didn't say we have finished doing all the roads in this country. That's why I'm saying probably he's misled. But let's look at education. And that is why, Roland, I get worried that we have a president who has spent the better part of his life criticizing people, so intolerant of criticism. What did he refer to? How did he refer to people criticizing him? Pharisees. Pharisees. And we all think it is acceptable, it is fine, that he can go on insulting people who oppose him the way that he does, and there's nothing wrong with it. He has spent the better part of his life criticizing people. And it's so unfortunate and unacceptable that as president, every time he's responding to criticism, instead of bringing light, he brings heat.
What do you mean by that?
Instead of educating people, at least trying to explain the circumstances for people to understand, he rather comes with insults.
Free SHS.
Look, he says that is success. The president once again is misled to think that announcing a policy in itself constitutes success.
When you have increased enrollment.
Roland, I have said on this platform that we have always had increased enrollment from Nkrumah till today. Secondary school education have always seen improved enrollment. The numbers have never gone down. So what data segregation has been done to show that this particular increment that we are seeing now is as a result of free
there's
SHS.
data, even though of course there have been some pointers that the data have been varied.
So that's why I'm saying that, look, as for increments, it's not a measure of the success of the program, because people have always, the numbers have always increased every year. But you see, in NDC, and that is why I think that the president is right when he says he's misled. Maybe we thought it was just one time, but it's often.
When the president said he was
his cousin spoke on his behalf.
How did his cousin speak on his behalf?
Who is his cousin?
Gabi Ochridako.
He said it where?
He said it that the president was misled through his Statesman newspaper in his wall. And the president has acted to show that he was misled by firing the one who misled him. That is what the report said. The report by Gabi said that the minister misled the president. The president fired HAJJ to show that the HAJJ was the one who misled him. But let's not go there for now. Let's not go there. But it's true. I mean, but it's true. It's true. He misled him and he fired him.
Please, let's
so, but I'm saying that maybe we thought it was just that one time. But evidently, he has been misled on so many occasions. When the NDC says, for example, that free SHS in the way that it was promised by the MPP is impossible, we were standing on solid ground. But then when we say that, then they say, oh, because they have announced it and it is being done the haphazard way that it is done, they have shamed us. No. How was it promised? We said the way it is promised, you can't do it. And haven't we been vindicated?
But it's been done.
The way it was promised, is this the way it was promised? Well, and let's be honest. Let's not play semantics with it. First of all, it was promised that all children in secondary school will enjoy free SHS.
5 minutes.
As we speak, not all children are enjoying it. Secondly, we were not told of any stopgap measure because they said they had the cost and everything in place, and they were going to ensure that everybody goes to school and gets quality education.
I think that the Minister of Education has said that the numbers have been overwhelming, unexpected.
Look at, you listen to them. We told them the numbers will be overwhelming. We told them you cannot do it the way you are. They said they had all the solutions. They would take the Wyoming monies and build the schools. Yes, I mean, Nana Akomia said they were going to build 350 senior high schools in 1 year. He said that. They had it all planned out. At least that's what they promised. And we said they were lying. They won't be able to do it. We have indicated. They are not doing it as they promised. And you see, when we said, for example, allowance cannot be... allowance cannot... They can't pay training colleges allowance. We said you can only do that if you reduce the numbers. That's what we said.
Well, they are paying the training...
Because they have reduced the numbers.
By doing what?
By giving a quota to the training institutions. The training institutions no longer,
Well, we still have quotas, only that there were increased quotas.
No, that's what I'm saying. That yes, but what I'm saying is that we in the NDC said the way you promise it is impossible. And we have indicated because they are not implementing the way
I have
they
only 2
promised
minutes.
it.
So just wrap up for me.
Okay.
Wrap up the discussion.
I think for me, the good people of Ghana are the best judges. The good people of Ghana are experiencing free SHS in a way that... Why are you reading?
I'm reading to see how they are bashing me on your platform.
Big Fi is saying that I should give a shout out. So to his wife Becky, his mom Charlotte, and his headmistress.
Who is Becky?
The guy was talking about the blues.
on the
guy
on
who
your
said he
platform.
should blow me.
Okay,
But I'm reading to see if they are.
You have a minute.
But I think that what His Excellency the President has said is the fact. I mean, we all use the roads all over the country.
You haven't seen improved roads?
No, you see, the issue is about the unprecedented, an impression that was created. And indeed, for me, the fact that the good people of Ghana, despite what they were being told at that time, made a decision as to who should lead them the next 4 years, should show that what was being told to them at that time, they didn't buy into it. That is a lesson for us. And we are going to make sure that we are going to improve the infrastructure. And now you see unprecedented. It's happening. It's happening.
The 25 million underbridge we are seeing.
Suhini, with all due
25
respect.
million Ghana cedis.
Suhini, with all due
No,
respect.
but are you proud of the figure?
Suhini, please. With all due respect,
Yeah, 50 seconds.
Education is a key pillar
Ghana cedis.
in the development of Ghana. And we're investing heavily in education. At least we have a situation where you have a Minister of Education that when he hits a challenge, he doesn't turn around, but he finds a solution to that challenge. That is why we are in government for.
That's why we have double track.
Yes, that is why we have double track. And nobody has denied that double track is not a stopgap measure.
If you had planned
Would
well,
you
we
want your
wouldn't have
children to go
needed
through
it.
double track?
If we had
I wouldn't
planned
mind.
well,
Hold on.
we wouldn't have gotten here.
Let us bear in mind that even with a double track, there is an increased number of contact hours. There's an opportunity for more teachers to be given employment. So they say that when one door closes, another one opens, or there's a blessing in disguise. And for me, I think that the number of unemployed teachers in my constituency who now have an opportunity to get employment is positive. I think the number of JHS students that are going, or JHS students that are going to SHS, that are going to go into schools in my community, and enjoy the free SHS. I think it's positive. So I would commend the Minister of Education.
Whether you know whether any of your secondary schools in your constituency are part of the listed 400. That would be.
Well, I believe senior Sensec is one. There, the body I say, Obright, there are a number of them that are taking part.
Nenyi Georganda is a deputy communications minister. He's also a member of parliament for Otu Senior West constituency. And then Alhassan Suhini, I'm even getting your name. Alhassan Suhini is a member of parliament for Tamale North, advocating for the judiciary this morning. You're reading law?
No, I'm not, but I think
we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more for you, because the discussion now will be with the Ghana Police Service. What actions they're taking so far? We know that some of their personnel were also shot, and they are continuing investigations on the subject. And Superintendent Kwesi Fori should be in the studio. He's also the operations boss for the Ghana Police Service Accra region. We'll talk about 1 year on Capital Bank, UT, etc., and many other related issues as well. Please stay on. We have a lot more for you, promise, on the show.